travel cards.
Yes.
Okay. So first years, I don't know if this is a thing for other unions, but when I was with 1325 when I first started, as a first year, it was incredibly difficult 12 or 14 years ago to get a travel card. They wouldn't even look at you. If you were a second, third, or a journeyman, easier. It also wasn't where I could just wait 48 hours on the board and make a call and I'm on that bid.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, I work in Ontario, okay? For conversation's sake, I want to come and work in Alberta. How do I make that happen? And I'm going to assume it'll probably be different from local to local.
Okay. So you are a member in Ontario currently? Is that what you're saying?
Well, let's go with that for conversation's sake. Let's say I'm a member of a local union in Ontario.
Journeyman?
Yeah. Or even an apprentice. But there's
Apprentice is going to be a little bit different. That's why I'm looking
okay.
at specific.
We'll start with journeyman. Okay. I've never taken a travel card before, but Alberta is just booming, and they can't get guys, and they're offering everything under the table just to get guys out here. How do I go about that as a journeyman who's never been on a travel card
Call their local union out there.
in Alberta?
No, in Ontario.
Okay.
See if there's any calls placed to those halls out there, first of all. If they have open calls for Alberta, because a lot of times the dispatcher here in Alberta will contact local unions in Ontario, Manitoba, across the country and do an open call looking for, let's just say in this instance, journey persons to come to that site. And so they'll do an open call across Canada. And if there's anything there, that local union should let the member know, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there's nothing there, what that member can do is contact the local union here and see if they have any open calls here that they'd be willing to take in a travel card or a clearance card, depending on the local, on the international that you're dealing with, because some of them are clearance cards as well, where they have to clear out of that local into this local. But for this, let's just talk about travel cards, so they could call and see if they're taking any travel cards and try and get the travel card deposited in this local as well.
Okay.
So it's a lot easier for journey people than it is for apprentices, though. For apprentices, it's a little bit tougher to take those travel cards. Not all locals will take an apprentice travel card. Sometimes what they want them to do is basically just start up a new member with the local union.
Yeah, you pretty much move.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Because in theory, it should be easier to get apprentices than journey people. So that's why in the local jurisdiction.
Okay. So while we're on the topic of travel cards, let's say I live in Ohio.
Yeah.
And Kitimat phase 2 happens and it is booming and they can't even get enough people there. How do I go from the States to work in Canada or even potentially vice versa?
Okay, we have an organization called ACTIMS, but this is for the turnaround and maintenance sector, shutdown turnaround maintenance sector, that we actually were able to bring in temporary foreign workers from the United States, from our locals in the United States, up to Canada. So they would actually get all the paperwork done and get everything processed in order to bring in those members. We were bringing a number of people in from Texas. I think we were bringing in from Louisiana, brought some in from Florida, brought some in from California, and I think around New York State, we brought some people in.
So that is how you go from the States to Canada.
No. It's an organization that we've created here in Canada to help us get temporary foreign workers that hopefully are all union into Canada for the shutdown, turnaround, and maintenance sector.
So does that apply to like places like Mexico or other countries as well?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So we've created this organization to help us bring in, and we didn't just create it, the building trades. This is an industry organization for the unionized construction sector that includes our contractors and the owners groups as well, in order to help us get these people in for the shutdown turnarounds. But the thing is, we're looking at changing things within ACTIMS in order to help us bring in foreign workers for the construction side as well.
For the larger projects.
It's not yet at that point, but we're looking at how we can utilize ACTIMS for construction as well. So we have brought in, even for construction though, workers from members from the States.
I've seen that a
Yeah.
handful of times
Yeah.
over the years, or even England.
Oh yeah,
I've seen that a handful of times.
Ireland, Scotland,
New Zealand, another one. Yeah.
but usually what happens is the local union will have discussions with the Houston local union, let's say, and they'll actually bring in people from there and help them get across the border and everything, and fill out the necessary paperwork.
So ACTIMS works the same way, just in reverse. Like if I wanted to go from here and work, if there was work in Texas or something.
No, ACTIMS only helps them bring them into Canada.
Into Canada.
Into Canada.
So then,
it doesn't help our members going down there. It only helps them coming up here.
Okay, so do we have anything to go the opposite direction, or that is a no?
That's a no. The only thing that helps us is the local unions having dialogue with each other back and forth. When we get phone calls, let's say there's a cracker that was happening at the Shell plant in Pennsylvania, I think it was.
Okay.
Pre-pandemic or during the pandemic.
So that's more between like the locals and the international relations.
Right. That's right. And so there was open calls for certain trades, especially IBW members that were able to go down to that cracker site in Pennsylvania for Shell.
Okay. So just to make sure, for clarification, it's easier for people to come into Canada because of ACTIMS than it is for...
The reason why it's easier for us to gain people to come into Canada through ACTIMS is because they're helping fill out all the paperwork with the federal government in order to get them.
They're going through the right channels.
They're going through the right channels. So it's a process where the building trades, the unionized sectors have helped streamline bringing in temporary foreign workers into Canada, and we help them with flights. We help them with getting, the necessary accommodations, getting them set up here. It makes it a smoother transition for them to get here. But it's nothing to do with the federal government or anything like that. It's our own organization.
Okay. So a question regarding that, because I know I'm going to see it, is they're taking work from us.
We only bring them in when we cannot supply enough. What we do is we try and make sure there's enough union members here in the province that'll do it. Try and make sure that if we can supply from even outside, from the non-union world.
Or other provinces.
We go to other provinces. We go right across Canada looking for people.
So it's like the last resort.
The last resort that we ever want to see on there is temporary foreign workers. So what we'll do is that's why we'll use ACTIMS, and we'll hopefully try and bring them in from our brothers and sisters in the United States and bring them up first and foremost. If we can't find enough from the United States, then we start going overseas.
Okay.
Not a bad thing in order to try to help us when we need that help. But when we don't need that help, it needs to be Albertans, Canadians working first.
Okay. Just to make that clear, because I know some 100%. People be like, they're not taking your job. Like you said, and it came from the horse's mouth. Canadians, Albertans come first.
Yes. So Albertans, Canadians.
Words are hard, man. I'm a scaffolder.